Hi guys, welcome back to Operation Knowhow, another lesson where we are currently at our outdoor site, Halo Mill Proving Ground in Selby, near York. This is following on from our CQB and other cam and concealment lessons. Today we are looking at, we've looked at advanced contact and how to win firefights and how to hide and stuff like that. So this is a slightly different way of how to move around a site. Again, this is not taken a little bit from real steel and past experiences, but this is obviously seeing how airsofters cut around a site a little bit nonchalantly and how you can do it in a much more positive manner, protect yourself and be ready for a contact with sort of herringbone techniques, snap ambushes, and then later on we're going to deal with trench systems and trench warfare of how to enter, exit, barricades and obstacles inside trench systems and how you can best utilize that kind of stuff with the previous lessons in mind to your best advantage. So what we're looking at here, we have our CQB area, but it is quite a wide open area outside it, leading to what is essentially quite a dense foliage track-based part of our site. There's loads of trenches, there's loads of tracks, and there's loads of areas up there where you kind of know there's kind of default places where people are going to walk. So as you're moving around a site, there's a thing that you can do called herringbone. This allows you to move around in a pseudo-safe way that if you do come under contact, you're not going to lose 3-4 guys from an LMG burst because you're all gaggled together talking about which gun you bought last week or what ammo you use and stuff like that. So as you're moving, I have brought it in a little bit, but obviously you can be paced sort of at 10 feet apart. They've got spots there and there. And what we mean by herringbone, it's going to be quite difficult to see without multiple people, but it's herringbone as in from the fish kind of thing, that you're in almost like a chevron style pattern. So you're in almost, so if Mike just dresses forward this way slightly and you're slightly back, is you're not directly opposite each other and you've got slight counter to each other's position. This allows you to see the person that's in front of you or behind you and you've always got eyes on. If you're all stood next to each other, you only see half as many people in your position. So, for example, we are heading this way in a sort of patrol style manner that we eventually want to maybe set up what's called a snap ambush and know where the enemy's coming from. So from Mike's point of view, he would be front man, so his eyes are this way all the time, weapon maybe in a low ready or things like that, and you're almost doing a little bit of a sway and covering as much as you can in all this, stepping around whatever terrain you come to. And Ian is doing exactly the same thing, but he is biased to that side because he's on the right hand side of the herringbone, and then people behind you would be biased to the left side. If you're point man, you've got a little bit of a wider spread. All the way at the back of the convoy, at the back of the patrol, you have tail end Charlie, who isn't walking backwards like this, waiting for him to trip over or out like that. He is still watching where you're going, understanding where the patrol's going, but he is then doing a very strong sweep behind, moving forward and doing all that. This is a very, very simple way to keep eyes everywhere, and if you do come under contact, as in previous lessons we've done, you can then drop in, you can do that pairs fire manoeuvre because you're in a position where one person's behind you, he can bound. So a very, very simple way to get up towards the enemy, and then what we'll look at now is if we ended up in this terrain feature in front of us. You've got paths, you've got ley lines and things like that where you know people are patrolling or you know where the enemy's coming from. So this is what's called a snap ambush situation. We're going to do it here, just so you see this, because if we were hiding in the bushes, you're not going to see very much. So all it happens is front man has an inkling or understands the terrain that's in front of him, and he suspects there is enemies ahead. They could be behind, they could be ahead. You just know that you're in a zone where you know enemies are going to walk past. Any kind of hand gesture or anything like that, the normal one is stop. Everyone, as soon as you stop, you take a knee, because then you're not stood there aimlessly. You're in cover, you're doing that. Whatever you decide as a team, you could do the herringbone, which is break and come off, but whatever you do, whichever direction the front man says, that is where they're going to start. So what would happen if you're doing a snap ambush? You would come off the track and you would lay down in a prone position this way, and you want to keep that 45 angle of a thing. So you'd break off and go that way, you'd break off and go that way. And the thing with ambushes, especially airsoft, it's quite easy to just loose rounds off and be willy-nilly and do what you want. Obviously, ambushes in a real steel situation, you've got to know where your axe, fire are, and things like that. The golden rule is, if you're being ambushed, is you're done. There's not really much you can do about it. All you can do is run. So if rounds come off, you beeline off and you absolutely kill it. So what we'll do is I'll just quickly reset you and just do a very slow example of what we mean by this herringbone situation. So if you pace back, and if I be pseudo frontman, so you can kind of see how this would continue on for maybe 20 guys all the way back. And again, you'd just do sweeps behind you very, very steadily. So nice and steady. Again, when it comes to the cam and concealment that we've looked at previously, noise, shape, shadow, silhouette, you don't want to be doing this kind of thing on the side of a hill where you're silhouetting your entire unit. You want to make sure you're not making that much noise as you're moving around. Anything that can shine has been cleared and cut out. So again, we're going, and we get to a point where we want to do this ambush. The hand would go up, everyone would take a knee, we do a quick check, and then whichever direction we do the signal that is for the snap ambush, we would come off. We're then in cover, in a defilade, prone, in a position where we can wait for an enemy. And again, being as quiet as possible. So you want to be facing this way, Ian. You want to be facing into. So obviously, an ambush, the guys are going to come down this way eventually. You want to be facing into the track, yeah? Yeah, so again, it's a little bit awkward. We're doing it in open so people can see, but when they then come down, what you would actually wait for, again, being as quiet as possible, all that cam and concealment, when the tail man gets to the point where their front man walks past, you just unleash hell, yeah? And all they're going to be able to do is stick their hands up, call themselves out, and they're done. What you are trained to do is, under an ambush, is run, because there might be one of two of you that get through, get out, and run from there. So, very simple way of doing it, but what we need to look at now, if you want to stand up, we're going to do something slightly more complex, but it does harken back to the CQB lessons. We're going to go up to the top end of our site, and there are some bits elsewhere, but we have quite deep trench systems here, and a lot of people don't really know how to enter, egress, and how to deal with obstacles in trench systems and how to use them to their best advantage. So we're going to go up there, do a little lesson on that, tie it in with the CQB and the cam and concealment stuff. But if you want to join me in a minute, we'll have that lesson just up there. So guys, we're up at probably one of the most northern parts of our site. We call it Chocolate Island or the Sniper Tower, but leading into this area, we have some very large trench systems. We've got one of the shallower ones here. Obviously, it's much easier to film with the shallow ones. Some of them go anywhere from 3 to 4 foot deep, and again, with the bracken, it amplifies it a lot. So what we're going to look at here is the sort of entry and egress of trench systems, how you can use them to your best advantage. Obviously, ignoring the fact that this is only 2 foot deep and you can see all around you, it's kind of almost as if it was a 5 foot, almost shoulder high trench system. So what we've looked at earlier with the herringbone style system, or patrolling up, or even if you're doing the pairs fire maneuver, it's a little bit slightly different on the sound and everything that you like that. You want to look for a simple egress into a trench system. Sometimes it's not possible, but as you can see here, we have a track that leads into it. Inherently, with trench systems, they are full of debris, leaves, twigs, and everything like that. So you want to keep that sound and sort of shadow and stuff as low as possible. So if we're patrolling, we're coming down, we're using the terrain to our advantage to get into this trench system. You will hear it as we are wandering backwards and forwards. There is bush and twigs and leaves. So if you do the 2-footed landing into this, you are giving an unnatural audible indicator that you're in the area. You can kind of hear an ambience to do with CQB and woodland, and as soon as something breaks that ambience, you will instinctively pick up on it and go there. So harking back to that sound part of the camouflage and concealment things. The best thing about trench systems is they almost completely eliminate the silhouette problem. So if you're walking along an area and we've got the sun in the background, you are literally a black outline, solid lump of block colour that draws people's eye immediately. You've come down, you're out of that. The natural tundra around her is breaking our shape, it's breaking our silhouette. And again, if we can keep quiet, we're being mindful of what's underneath us, we can move through here in a very effective manner. So what we're going to look at There's a T-junction just ahead of us, and it harkens back to the CQB lessons of how to sort of slice the pie a little bit and being able to bound across different gaps. We're then going to flip around and have a look at obstacles down there. So very similar to what we did in Halo Mill with the corridor, we are going to be patrolling down here, and obviously we have a threat to the left, so I want to increase my angle as much as I can going that way. So if I'm going down this way and my oppo behind me knows I'm covering the angle, it's his job to do security dead ahead. So we're moving down nice and steady, moving down, and then once I get to here and I know his weapon's up, I can step forward and take security on here, and then we do what's called a road bound. This is very similar to if we were going to cross a road, move across an open bit of ground. We keep security down where the main threat is, and Mike can bound across. That leaves Ian giving rear security, and then he can bound across. That gives us the options to either carry on in that direction or move on that way. The main thing about trench systems is they are completely random or pseudo-random compared to a building. You come around this corner, in a building you're expecting something around there. It could be, in a trench system, it could be a hovel, it could be a hole, it could be a ramp leading out, and all that kind of stuff. So I'll reset, and I'll let Ian and Mike do it, and I'll just be the pseudo rear security. I'll just guide you through it. So we've stepped down, we've got into a quiet position. Mike, you've got the right hand side of the trench, and you're intending to cut left and clear that security. So you want to, you know that he's going to stay on the right hand side of this trench, so you want to keep to the left of him and try and keep security forward as much as you can. So doing it as much as you can, and then once your weapon goes up, you can then bound across because you know you've got security as quick as you can. And then if you want, you could then do the same maneuver down there, or we do what we did in the CQB thing with a bump or a bound that you know security's on, so you could bound around him. You see, once you've started getting the basics down, it translates to many, many different areas. And again, you've just got to keep it in mind that trench systems are as random as it gets. So communication is key, that you go to that and it's a dead end, you turn around, you come back, you do it the other way. When it comes to egressing and trying to get out, again, we don't want to be trying to do stuff where we're stepping up and trying to pound our way out, because you're making lots of noise and you're kind of going into an unknown area and you're keeping your weapon in a sort of unthreatening thing. So when you are moving through these areas, keep your eyes sort of peripherals open for the easier ways to get out, because as soon as you start launching your body out of this, you're creating the noise, you're creating the speed, the fast movements, the unnatural movements that we've talked about earlier in previous lessons, and it's just going to give you a really quick. So use that movement, use that bounding, get to a point where it's much easier to get out, like where we came in, and you can do it much quieter. So we'll reset, we'll go to the far side where some obstacles are, and we'll cover how to deal with them and how to do them in a proper manner, rather than what airsofters think is cool sometimes. Might be quite cool in airsoft to tunnel underneath stuff, but in real world situations it can be a little bit awkward getting out the other side. So we'll have a look at obstacles and how to deal with them in just a second. So as we're coming down the trench systems, guys, what we're looking at here is coming to an obstacle in the path or in the track. We don't want to be treating this as if it is a bridge. Conveniently, it is a bridge that people could walk across, but this could be anything. It could be a fallen tree, branches, barbed wire, a deep puddle or a hole or anything like that. So we want to treat all of these in the same situation. Some of them you can't crawl or you don't want to. I won't want to crawl under this, because when you get to the other side of it, you're not in a dynamic enough position to then take on a threat or anything that's on the other side of it. Yes, it's short, but these obstacles can be various different lengths and sort of different ways to get underneath them, and it's not the safest thing to do, especially in airsoft. So when we come to this, we treat it very similar to the tracks and stuff that we've done before. I know that the easiest way for me to get around this is up and over the right hand side. So once I've checked security and I know that I'm going to brake, or I can give a signal to my oppo behind me that he knows I'm going to do it, I've got security now, he would then step forward, give me security that way. So Mike steps in, gives me security that way. Ian is still giving rear security, and again, as quietly and as smoothly as you can, you step out, keep security that way. And similar to how we did the door work in buildings, you want to do them big, long, sharp, fast steps and do it as quietly and simply as possible. Once I've checked security, I can then come back, take up this security. Mike does the same. And then because I'm keeping security on, he becomes front man. Ian comes round, and as soon as he passes, I can take rear security and right and do that. Yeah. Then try to keep it as quiet as you can, nice and simple, and we'll reset and give that a go with Mike and Ian doing it. So stepping across, I will be tail security. If Mike wants to take front man. So coming up, so then once you've checked and you know that you're about to cross, Ian wants to then step forward and take that left security, yeah? So he is now safe to cross, nice quick bounding steps, as quick as we can. He then checks that security, comes back, takes Ian's position, Ian can then step up, step over, and we're keeping ourselves in that high silhouette position as short and as minimal time as possible. Yes, there's going to be noise, there's going to be various things going on, but you're trying to mitigate it as much as possible. Again, this could be a tree, a branch, a hole, a divot, anything. That's why you treat them all the same. You can't go under a bit of water, you can't go under barbed wire. So if you treat everything the same, doesn't matter what you come across, you can treat it as if it is the same obstacle. When it comes to this, we've obviously continued on the trench system, but what you could do is use this as an egress, and we go, right, we're on a path here that leads to obvious situations. Trench systems are random and go in various different directions, but we have a ley line here where there's potential of contact or threats. So if you were going to then step out, you can do the same thing and move that way. But yeah, nice and simple, patrolling on, snap ambushes, and using the trenches to your full advantage. We've got miles of trench systems here. We've got all the way from 4 foot, 3 foot, all the way down to the shallower ones down there. You can kind of use them in a very similar manner all the way throughout the site. And now with the bracken being as high as it is, it becomes CQB woodland at times. But if that's everything for today, we appreciate you watching, guys. Drop us any comments down below if there's anything that you want us to cover. Obviously, if we've have experience in the past, whether or not it's a military thing, an airsoft thing, you want advice on gear, tactics, tricks, any little hot topic tips, we're happy to do them and make you a better player. But if that's everything for today, thank you for Pete behind the camera, Mike and Ian for my beautiful assistance. But that's everything for today, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.